I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, of course. So to start, you're in an action movie with Daisy Ridley. I
Yeah.
used to watch those videos when she was training for Star Wars, where she would
Yeah.
like flip tires. So how did it feel when you were like, they told you, okay, here's what's happening. You're going up against Daisy Ridley.
I think it was much more of a gradual process. I don't think anybody necessarily phrased it like that to me. And honestly, I just kind of really respected what she's I respect what she's done. I respect how hard she works. I was hoping that in person that would be true, and it was, and she does work that hard. And when we rehearse fights, we wouldn't leave until it was done. And when we'd spar lines, it was like sparring. It was like playing a little tennis match, and it really just it was a wonderful place to work in an environment where everybody is bringing their best self. As cheesy as that sounds, but like Martin is intense and he drives the van. Clive is intense and also charming and lovely and supportive and is there to do his best work and make sure that you do yours. And Daisy's also there just doing her best work, and I guess I just hoped that that I could keep up and did my best to.
And you did. Well, and I was talking to Daisy on Monday, and I was saying how I was like braver people than I am because I don't like heights. So I was like, I can't have that job. And she was like, me. She was like, I don't like it either, but I had to do it for this movie. You get to briefly hang from the side of a building. For you, did you have that fear? Or were you like, I'm doing it for 5 seconds. It's fine. No one's gonna question me.
Nah, to be honest, I'm quite a fan of heights, and I love jumping out of planes. I've got like 300 skydives to my name. I've jumped out of 2 helicopters. Like I like climbing. So if anything, I was kind of bummed I didn't get to hang out of the building more.
Could not be me. Can't even see a building near a thing. I'm like, I'm gonna fall. I'm
No,
going down.
I mean, I would do that as a hobby. Like if somebody said, "Hey, you can climb this building and you won't get arrested," I'd be like, "Cool." Tuesday.
So you're telling me you were that guy who was scaling a building in New York and no one knew why? He was just like scaling the
No, it
building.
wasn't me. That wasn't me that time. But in my when I first rocked up in London, I did there was a couple of buildings I tried to climb with varying levels of success. But I don't do that as much anymore.
Well, since you have the Tom Cruise gene, apparently, is that like when you're looking at roles and looking for your next project, do you get really excited when there are like high stakes stunts or things where you have to like jump out of something or get in the middle of the action yourself?
Yeah, no, to a degree, like I get excited about it if two things are in place, because at the end of the day, like it's my hobby and I can always do it in my free time. So I don't necessarily have to go looking for it at work. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big fan of things that have no action. Like Florian Zeller is one of my favorite playwrights and filmmakers, and his things are just all character and it's all dialogue. And um I'm a big like theater fan. You know what I mean? Like I'm a nerd in many ways of like literature that and stories that have a real allegory to them. That I don't necessarily need there to be much action to get excited about it. But if there is action and the characters and story back it up, and more importantly, I feel from the team that they're going to embrace me wanting to do it all, then I get excited. Because there's nothing worse than seeing some really cool, dope stuff in a script and then being like, "Oh, this is all oh, this is so cool," and then you get there and they don't let you do any of it, or worse, they maybe let you do it, but you have to fight for every single time that you want to get in the stunt. And to be honest, I on this one they were supportive of me doing my stuff, but I definitely had to annoy people to get in on stunts. Like there was days where they would send me for lunch, and I'd be like, okay, cool, lunch break, and then I'd hear that they're still filming. And I'd be like, what are you? And I go check, and they're doing like a stunt where I don't know somebody maybe the actor's gonna narrowly miss an edge on a wall or something like that, and I would be so livid. I would be so annoyed. I would go pepper Martin until he'd relent. If Martin didn't work, I'd call the producer. Callum was a friend of mine. I'd be like, dude, I want to get in the stunt. If that didn't work, I'd go to the stunt coordinator, Gary, who was awesome and was also really supportive, but he would try and evade me when they were doing it. So I would be able to get through. And by hook or by crook, I would get myself into the stunt. Because my argument is always that um, if meritocratically if meritocratically I can prove that I can do the stunt with the same level of skill that my double can, I want to do it. If for whatever reason I am not able to meritocratically prove that I can, then it's fair that my stunt performer
Yeah.
take over. And like it's not even a competition thing because like on every job, like the stunt performer and the actor are so we train together, we're friends, we support each other. If I'm the one doing the stunt, that he's cheering. If he's for whatever reason the one doing the stunt, I'm cheering. Sometimes they do the same take with both of us, especially when I'm trying to prove that I can meritocratically do it. And they'll maybe have already shot one with him, and then I'll get in and I'll get my shot. So I don't know if that answers the question, but yes, I get excited as long as I know that I'm going to be able to do them.
Yeah, as long as they're like, you're sure. You need to get to the point where you're like, I'm gonna be Tom Cruise on the side of a plane, just like holding on for dear life.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, when I watch those things, I know everybody has like such a visceral reaction to someone hanging off of a plane, but I guess I don't know if it's just the environment in which I grew up, or because a lot of my friends are into that kind of stuff. Like hanging off of a plane isn't as it's not as mind blowing as you might think. Like it's just really windy. Like whenever I've hung off of a, whenever I've hung out of like I've never hung off of a Hercules plane, but whenever I've hung out of like a C6, the smaller like skydiving planes, it's kind of just really windy. It's not
You're like, it's not a big deal.
it's
You
not
can
really
tell
a big
it's
deal.
they could have left you out on an actual building hanging, and you would have been like, this is exactly what I want. This is my workday.
For my 18th birthday once, there used to be an abandoned bungee jump tower, and I took a piece of cake with me in my backpack, and I climbed to the top and ate it for the sunset.
This is the movie
I
made for you,
know.
just hanging off haunted buildings. I do like you mentioned Clive. I like that you guys get to work briefly with each other. And I love this little band of misfits breaking into a building who are like, it's almost kind of like the Thanos treatment where you're like, they're not incorrect. They're going about it in the wrong way, but they're not incorrect. When
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for having that perspective because we worked really hard for that.
well, when you are playing a character that is like morally they're maybe fighting for the right thing, the way they go about it is very, very wrong, and they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
How do you like where do you find the fun in that balance between morally they're thinking the correct way, but their actions are very morally corrupt?
Well, I think the morally corrupt actions are a lot easier to get get one's head around when if you bring context into it and if you I think I truly believe that every single human is actually capable of the most obscene things if if the wrong series of circumstances have presented themselves for enough of that person's life. Everybody has some sort of a breaking point, and it's just that most of us hopefully never reach it. And with him, it was about trying to figure out what were all the things that took him to the point past which he couldn't return, and past which there was no point in returning. And at that point, when there's nothing to lose except for people to hear him, then morality goes out the window, and it's just a case of his own rules and what he believes to be a greater purpose. Because if you think about it in war all the time, I mean, there's casualties happen on a daily basis, and who there's a great quote written that always stuck to me with Noah, which is history is written by those who win. And I don't mean that in like a political sense. I just mean that in a way that I think in a context where if for whatever reason at the end of his story people see his point, then he's the one who wrote history.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was a bit of an ephemeral answer, but that's kind of how I used to look at it.
Well, no, I love that. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for everyone to get to see the cleaner or cleaner. One, just cleaner. One word. Drop the
Thank
ball.
you. I appreciate you. You have a good rest of your day.
Okay.